I've visited more than 20 countries with my kids and figured out which countries are the most comfortable, where you should go, where you shouldn't, and how to organize such a trip. This video is mainly for those who are afraid to travel with children, for those who keep putting off trips, waiting for their child to grow up, and denying themselves this pleasure. I'm Dima Karmanov, founder of Dallure Travel, and an expert in organizing trips. If your child is under 2 years old, things are actually very simple. At that age, kids usually don't get fussy, they don't run off, and they don't really need anything special. So you just take this little bundle with you and travel in peace. Yes, of course, there are a lot of restrictions. Yes, of course, you have to remember that at this age, a child needs care and a routine. You can't go to countries where it's dirty or where there are diseases. You need to take these basic sanitary restrictions into account. But overall, traveling with very young children, in my opinion, is actually the most comfortable way to travel with kids at all. I remember when my oldest son was just 10 months old. My wife and I got in a car and drove from St. Petersburg to Sevastopol, traveling across the entire European part of Russia, through Moscow, through Belarus, through Ukraine. We saw everything, drove all over Crimea. We traveled like that for 2 weeks. During all that time, we didn't have any problems at all. The child slept well in the car, he was interested in everything, and he didn't really need anything special. I still remember that trip as something very easy and simple. So don't be afraid to take little kids with you. The inconveniences they cause are minimal, and you'll get almost the same enjoyment from the trip as you would traveling without kids. I'll go into more detail about how to organize a trip with kids, what to do, and how to prepare for such a trip in a separate video. But today, I'll focus on which countries are the most comfortable and convenient to visit with children. I'd say that if your child is under 2 years old, almost any country will work for him. Just don't forget about sanitary considerations. We rule out all dirty countries, all countries where there's a lack of sanitation. Other than that, the whole world is pretty much open to you. And don't be afraid of long flights. Young children handle long flights just fine. Things get a lot more complicated and interesting as your child gets older. From 2 to 6 years old is that age when parents are already so worn out by their child. The child becomes super active, curious about everything, getting into everything, wanting everything, and it's no longer possible to leave them unsupervised. It's already impossible, and still not yet possible. That's why, from 2 to 6 years old, it's better to travel with such kids to countries and places where you have the option to drop your little whirlwind off at a kids club or leave them with someone who can watch them, so you can actually get a break, even from your child. A child can be incredibly exhausting. I know this from experience. I've already raised 2. One is still in the process, and one is practically an adult now. The main thing parents think about when vacationing with kids this age is how to get a break from their own child, to stop being their entertainer, to stop being their nanny, to stop being the answer to every question. That's why, at this age, you should choose countries where there is good children's entertainment. And from morning till night, you'll be able to relax, enjoy yourself, and just savor life. I've tried, sorted through, and checked a lot of countries specifically for this criterion. And maybe to my own surprise, I found that the best country for this, oddly enough, is Turkey. Ordinary, familiar, well-known Turkey is actually the best place for a vacation with children of this age. In Turkey, good hotels have excellent kids clubs and great children's entertainment programs. As a result, your child is happy, has played enough, run around, and burned off all their energy with those poor animators who work with them. Every day they have a new program. One day they're playing pirates, another day they're splashing in the pool, or maybe they're baking some kind of pizzas. The child is interested, and during this time you can relax. In terms of value for money and the richness of experiences for a child, Turkey is probably in first place. I would put Spain in second place. Spain is famous for its traditions of family vacations, European-style family vacations. And in Spain, there are many hotels that are also geared toward families with children, but you need to pay close attention to this. You need to check whether the hotel is really intended for children. In Spain, especially in some regions like the Canary Islands, Tenerife, and Mallorca, there are hotels with the concept of kids are the main guests. That is, everything there revolves around All the entertainment and activities are centered on entertaining children. Look for exactly these kinds of hotels, and you'll be comfortable. Your kids will be occupied, and you'll be able to take a break from them and without them for a while. Greece and Cyprus also offer a whole range of hotels with options for children's recreation. Both in Greece and in Cyprus, there are entire hotel chains with baby clubs. You can drop your kids off at these mini kids clubs starting from as young as 6 months old. There are various hotels in the Emirates. Look at the expensive hotels. Everything's great in the Emirates, but the price can be steep. If you can afford it, it will also be great there with kids. For kids, there's a wide variety of organized activities there. There are all sorts of entertainment programs, a children's movie theater, mazes, and trampoline parks. Another advantage of the Emirates is that you can find caregivers who speak almost any language. You can even leave your kids there in the evening. Unlike in many other countries, even evening childcare is very well developed in the Emirates. If you want, for example, to go out and relax with your husband for dinner or catch some evening show, or if you have other plans, you can also leave your child for the evening. Dominican Republic. The downside is that it's a long flight, and kids between the ages of 2 and 6 get restless and don't handle flights well, especially long ones. Maybe you're used to it, but your neighbors on the plane definitely won't be happy about it. The Dominican Republic is more expensive, but almost all high-end hotels, 4 stars and especially 5 stars, have kids clubs that are just as good as the Turkish ones. If you're okay with a long flight and spending a bit more, the Dominican Republic can also be a great choice for traveling with kids. There are also options for family-friendly hotels in Mexico. It's also a long flight, and it's not cheap either. But one of the advantages is that many kids clubs in Mexico focus on exploring nature. Things like watching turtles, various eco programs, activities with plants, and learning about wildlife. These things are available in Mexico, and kids usually find them really interesting. In Southeast Asia, in destinations like Thailand or Bali, there aren't really hotels that are exclusively for kids. Well, they do exist, but they're much less common. On the other hand, the nanny hiring system is very well developed there. The nannies are professionals, they're good with kids, and they speak different languages. This service is offered by the hotels themselves. You can order a nanny for your kids right at the hotel reception. Or you can find plenty of different options online. You can even find a nanny for the youngest children, for infants and babies. These kinds of services are available too. If your child is between 7 and 12 years old, things get even more interesting. It's not so easy to keep them occupied anymore. Kids clubs just aren't as appealing to them at that age. And here, it's really important for you to be a good, responsible parent. It's important to know what your child is interested in. When you're planning a vacation with kids, plan it based on your child's interests and hobbies. For example, my oldest has always been into Lego. So naturally, a trip to Legoland in Denmark was really exciting for him. We went together to a whole park where all the attractions are dedicated to Lego. Another example, he got really into the Assassin's Creed game series, where the action takes place in different historical eras and cities. That's why he really wanted to see Paris, where, as a character in the game, he climbed around Notre Dame. And when he saw it all in real life, he was genuinely thrilled. Yeah, I grabbed onto that gargoyle when I was climbing around Notre Dame. Yeah, and I saw this and I saw that too, right? Now he wants to go to Florence because in the game, he and Leonardo da Vinci were inventing things and climbing around there too. And of course, we'll go to Florence together so he can see it with his own eyes. If your child is interested in animals, choose destinations where they can see those animals in real life, not just in pictures, videos, or cartoons, right? There are wonderful zoos in Denmark, for example. There, the animals roam freely over huge areas, and you actually drive through these areas, either by bus or in your own car, and observe the animals. It's like you're the one in the cage, not the other way around. It's great for the animals and very humane. They're in their natural environment, and it's really fascinating to watch them. Sometimes it's a bit scary, like when you're driving and there's a family of lions around you, watching you and circling your car. Yeah, but still, it adds excitement, a bit of adrenaline, a real thrill. Kids are just thrilled by it. But it's even more interesting to see animals in the wild. So your direct route, of course, is to Africa. There are different countries in Africa. Some countries are just not suitable for traveling with kids, and honestly, not even great for adults. But there are good, civilized countries where everything is organized and it's safe for children. Take a look at Kenya. Consider Tanzania and South Africa as well. All three countries offer family vacations, activities for children, and plenty of safaris and opportunities to observe wildlife. Kids are just thrilled. Everything is happening right around you. If your child, for example, is interested in knights, then all of Europe is at your service. Medieval castles are scattered from Portugal all the way to Eastern Europe. There are many in Spain, many in France, lots in Germany and Poland. Choose any country that interests you, that fits your budget, and go there with your child. Include as many of these fascinating locations as possible. Medieval sites, knights. If you find any events dedicated to this, maybe knight tournaments or reenactments of life in medieval villages, go for it. Kids who are into all this stuff absolutely love it. Do they like nature? No problem. Brazil is a great place to travel with kids. Southeast Asia has tons of countries with amazing nature. Waterfalls, jungles, mountains, forests, you name it. It's comfortable to travel there with kids too. Australia. Australia is a civilized country with all sorts of natural surprises that will amaze kids too. So if you have the chance, Australia is also a great choice. Is your child interested in science and technology? There are plenty of awesome museums, interactive museums that kids find fascinating in the US, in Spain. For example, here in Barcelona, Cosmo Caixa is a place where a child can go 10 times and still be curious to touch and explore everything. Is your child interested in anime? Then your direct route is to Japan. Yeah, Japan and anime are practically synonymous. And of course, all kids at this age love amusement parks. Disneyland, Paris, and many other cities and countries around the world. Ventura here in Spain is also an amazing place where kids are absolutely thrilled. Amusement parks are your go-to solution at any time. Not sure where to go? Look for an interesting amusement park and take your child of this age there. Next, I'll talk about traveling with kids age 13 and up. By the way, I professionally create travel itineraries and tours, so if you need help, you can always reach out to me. Based on your request, I will design the best trip of your life, tailored just for you. Visit the website. There are already more than 7 thoroughly developed travel itineraries available. And every week, every month, we keep adding more and more new ones. You can choose a ready-made itinerary. Or my team and I can create a route just for you, tailored specifically to your needs. When your child is 13 or older, your job as a parent is to broaden their horizons, prepare them for adult life, and get them ready for the choices they'll have to make in a few years. Your task is to show them the world in all its diversity. Show them how people live in Switzerland, what their life is like, and why it is that way. Tell them, explain, and show the other side. How do downshifters live in Thailand or Bali? What happens to them? And what is their life like there? Live with your teenager, for example, in a monastery. There are Buddhist monasteries where you can stay, where you can live for a while. There are such monasteries in Japan, in Myanmar, and in many other countries. It's a completely different perspective from which he will look at this life. That happens too. That's also a choice. That's also an option. Show how the Japanese work around the clock. Show the life that is bustling in big cities, in financial centers. Show him New York, the center of New York, Manhattan. Show him the city of London, so he realizes that this is also possible. Take him on tours of university campuses. Show how students live in different countries, because that could also be his choice. Show per countries for contrast. How do people live there? What do they need? What is their life made of? Yes, because he also needs to understand and appreciate the things, the benefits, that he has here and now in his own country. And now, where you definitely shouldn't travel with children. Look at the infrastructure. Look at what these countries have. How good the conditions are for children to be safe and comfortable there. By no means should you go to countries where crime is prevalent. Don't neglect safety measures when it comes to wild animals. Always take this very seriously, because animals are more dangerous for children than for adults. Check the medical standards. Look at how good or bad the hospitals are in those places, and pay special attention to how high the risk of catching something is. You have to understand that even in Brazil, which I recommend for children of a certain age, there are completely different kinds of places. For example, If you go to the Amazon with your child, there's no crime there at all. You won't encounter in the Amazon what you would in the favelas of Rio. Don't take your child to dangerous places. Take them somewhere that's awesome and interesting. Take them to the waterfalls. Take them to the jungle. By the way, I already have a separate video on my channel about the top 5 most dangerous countries I've visited, and I'm planning to make a detailed video about how to organize a trip with kids. If you're interested in that, let me know in the comments. That would be extra motivation for me to actually make that video. And of course, enjoy every moment of life, every moment of your travels. And don't put off trips just because you have kids.